Hey guys, TRScientist here, and today I am back in r/ProRevenge for day number 22. I think I'm at day 22 at this point, meaning I'm almost at the end of ProRevenge already, which is just wild to think about. But today I have 3 stories lined up, all with certain words I cannot say because YouTube would just be like, okay, let's shut him down. Yet I don't care. We'll start off on the right with racist Karen calls the cops on my cousin, so I get a business closed down. The background. My cousin, a 23-year-old female, recently opened up her own salon. From a young age, she taught herself how to thread/wax eyebrows and developed an interest in makeup and hair. Everyone in our extended family would go to her before offense and on a monthly basis for their threading, waxing, hair and makeup needs. In 2020, she had a full-time job, non-salon related, but decided to renovate the basement of her home to create a small salon space. She now spends her free time taking clients in her at-home salon, and there's nothing but great reviews. Her sister helped with the renovations and now helps her with marketing the business, social media, community pages, so and so. And I help with the finances, budgeting, price setting. And we all support her and are really proud of her. The salon is our baby. We're now in the middle of a pandemic and this greatly affected her salon business. As a result, she implemented safety measures and our small team made sure to keep up with the COVID regulations in our city. This included having one customer inside at a time, doing temperature checks, making masks/face shields and gloves mandatory, wiping down the salon after each client, etc. Also, when our city was in lockdown, the salon was closed as it's not an essential service. The incident. Our city is once again in lockdown since the end of December to the end of January. The salon has been closed since the lockdown began. The salon's social media pages had been updated to let the current clientele know that the salon is closed. Now comes the Karen. Karen sees a community post from October detailing a discount that the salon was having a certain package we offer. She comments on the post saying that she can't believe the salon is open in the middle of a lockdown when her salon has to be closed. This is important for later. Karen fails to notice that this post was made in October when salons were allowed to operate as long as they followed safety regulations. Karen doesn't bother checking any more recent posts indicating that the salon was closed. My cousin doesn't see her reply at this time. The next day, 2 police officers show up at my cousin's door while she's at a doctor's appointment. The officers ask for my cousin and my aunt lets them know that she's not home right now. My aunt does not speak English very well and lets the officers know that she would call my cousin and ask her to come home. Maybe the officers didn't believe her, but they insisted on coming inside the home. My aunt had already called my cousin as she was worried. My cousin asked what it was about, but my aunt didn't know. My cousin then asked if they had a warrant for anything. When she found out they didn't, she told her mum not to let them come inside and that she would be there in about 20 minutes. My cousin began driving home when my aunt called her to let her know that they simply left. Hearing this, my cousin was less worried and decided to go grocery shopping as planned before heading home. Turns out the officers came back a half hour later and demanded to see my cousin. My aunt called my cousin again and asked her to come home, but in the 20 minutes she took to come home, the officers were gone. They had left a card and asked her to call back. My cousin managed to get a hold of the officers and was told that someone had reported her business. They claimed that she was operating during lockdown and they had proof. My cousin knew this wasn't true as the salon had been closed for quite a while. By now, my cousin had seen the post in question was from October. My cousin was very upset that this post was not even close to being actual evidence of her operating now in January. She was also very upset that they insisted on coming inside the house with no cause or warrant when they could clearly see that my aunt does not understand the language very well. At the end of the conversation, the police officer apologized to my cousin and thought that it was the end of it. You must be wondering how we know that Karen was the one who called the cops. Well, she told us. The next day, my cousin received a message she realized was from the woman who commented on the post. Karen decided to pretend like she was a customer. Can I book an appointment? Hey love, we're currently closed due to the lockdown. Once the lockdown is over, we'll be more than happy to book you in. Oh, my girlfriend was there yesterday. My apologies. You must have gotten the date wrong. The salon is not taking clients until the lockdown is over. Thank you. No problem, but I didn't get the date wrong, lol. I also know the police came due to you being open. Take care. I'm not going to sit here and entertain your boring life. Maybe for a change you can find another hobby rather than spreading lies and wasting people's time, including the police's time. Or even better, find a natural job. Have a good night. I own my own spa that's closed, as should yours be. Your mum is the one who called the cops. You are not entertaining me at all. Go back to your own country instead of fucking with ours. My cousin decided to block her at this point. My cousin was happy this was all over. My sister and I were still outraged at the racist comment and how someone could make up lies about a small business that led to cops terrifying my aunt. When my cousin told me about Karen, the fact that she had her own spa really stood out. I did some digging. Turns out Karen runs her own spa out of her house. Doing some more snooping, I found reviews from her clients on her business page that were posted on days that the city was under lockdown. The reviews could be from clients who received services before the lockdown and only now had a chance to write a review. To be sure, I found Karen's Instagram page. I decided to use her own trick against her. I created a new account with a generic name and followed her page so she couldn't see that I was related to my cousin. I then messaged her to ask about the prices for her services. Me, hey, I love your pics. I was wondering how much you charge. Hey girls, thank you so much. What services are you after? I'm really interested in the B&B facial glow. A BB facial glow. That's awesome, my biggest seller for sure. Normally it's $125, but it's on BOGO, so you can pay for one session and get two. That's such a great deal compared to others. When's your next available date? Where are you located? I can't have people come to me in lockdown, but I travel to my clients. Karen was not operating from her home location due to lockdown restrictions, but was traveling to her client's home, which is still against regulations. I then made up a lie about my home not having adequate space and asked for her address so we could meet up at my friend's place, somewhere between her and I's location. She foolishly told me her address. During this time, I also tried joining other community groups that she was a part of. In one particular group, the people in the community were promoting their small businesses. She had recently made a post about discounts on her services for the month of January. I immediately went online and submitted a report about her business still operating, including screenshots, her address, full name, etc. A few days passed by and I'd forgotten to check up on it as I was busy with life again. I saw the incident report number on a sticky note I had on my desk and decided to check in. Apparently this was not Karen's first offense. Karen had already been fined $750 for having a client in her home during the first lockdown in my city. After being fined, she decided to change her business model and go to the client's home instead. Now she was fined with $10,000. I was still following her on Instagram, so I decided to check it out. She had gone on a rant about how she was going to do very bad things to the person who reported her. She also mentioned that she was no longer allowed to run her business. I'm not sure what type of ban the regional police put on her, but I immediately deleted the account and exited the groups I had joined earlier. At the end of the day, Karen got what she deserved, and I fulfilled my dream of pretending to be Sherlock Holmes. Oh my gosh. I noticed that some people didn't believe that the woman was racist. This subreddit does not allow pics. I replied to their comments. Just, if you're gonna, like, running a business during lockdown is the dumbest option you could do. And surprisingly, this story didn't have much swearing in it. In fact, it didn't have any swearing in it. That's impressive. Let's move on to this one. Hey, Riti. This story takes place about 8 years ago when I was in the 4th grade. Around the time when I was in 4th grade, I was diagnosed with a couple of different disorders. One of which being Asperger's syndrome. Because I had Asperger's, my family decided to file with the school district for something called an IEP, or an individualized education plan. This plan was supposed to help teachers understand how they can help their students succeed. At the same time, I was also a very gifted student, and therefore was part of the gifted program at my school. There was only one teacher for each grade of the gifted program. The 4th grade teacher's name was Mrs. B. Mrs. B was not exactly known for her warm-heartedness. Instead, it was common knowledge among students that Miss B only acted favourably to the students that she personally liked, most of which were girls. There were 2 boys in the entire class, myself and someone we'll call O. Miss B was very unkind to O and I. That's gonna sound confusing. Going as far as to get us suspended for taking too long in the restroom. This story begins on the first day of school. I came into the class, and we all had a nice little 4th grade introduction. Miss B introduced herself. Everything seemed to be going swimmingly, until Miss B decided to out me in front of everyone. She told everyone about my IEP and about how I was special. She also told the class that about the disability that I had. The whole class had a jolly old time laughing at my expense. After that, my school life became a living hell. Teasing me was all but condoned by Miss B, and the whole class, including herself, took part. The 2 worst memories that I have of Miss B were the following. The first was a day when Miss B decided that I looked down on people and decreed that I was only to crawl on my belly in class. Being a young man with Asperger's, I did not tell my parents about this because I thought for some strange reason that they would love me less if they knew all about this. Strange autistic reasoning, I guess. The second memory of Miss B's tyranny is one of my most painful memories. I was reading a book in the back of the class. Being autistic, I tend to get lost in books, and the outside world fades away. Apparently, Miss B tried calling my name once, and when I didn't answer, she hatched a devious plan. From across the room, she yelled at the top of her lungs. She shouted, "Hey, Riti!" Unfortunately for me, I looked up and responded with a meek yes, and the whole class laughed for what felt like forever. Miss B thought that her entire bullying scheme set out before her, and that I would do nothing in response. Wasn't it a shame that the school had recently installed new cameras in every room because of theft problems? Miss B had a jolly time bullying me, and I grinned and bore it, because I knew her atonement was coming. Finally, when she decided to reiterate to the class about my disability, my plan finally worked. I used my IEP-granted coping mechanism and left the room to talk with a counsellor. I spent the entire afternoon explaining the abuse that I had taken from Miss B, and told the counsellor that the cameras would prove it. Lo and behold, the cameras proved my point. Miss B lost her job, and the district paid me to go to a nice boarding school for kids on the spectrum. I may have had Asperger's, but that doesn't mean I was an idiot, contrary to what Miss B thought. Unfortunately for her, I knew what a civil rights lawsuit was. Doubly unfortunate for her is the fact that she now helps pay for my college. TLDR, teacher abuses student, student makes use of your newly installed cameras to bust teacher. I love how Like, you've tried to mess with someone that has a mental disability, but you gotta watch those type of people because they might actually do something that outsmarts even you. Like, I can relate to this story because I have Asperger's as well. Like, I've had Asperger's basically since I was in school. And I was bullied throughout every single year of school, but I've turned out really good in the end. And we'll read the final edit here. Many of you were asking how much she pays me. She really got screwed over in the lawsuit, which is nice to see. She pays 30% of my college tuition prior to scholarships. Any extra is given to me directly now that I'm of age. The college I went to is $20,000 a semester, so she pays me $6,000 a semester. Fun fact, I got a full ride. So Miss B gets to pay for my books, my room, and board, and for me to have a little fun on the side. I'm planning on taking my girlfriend to Disneyland with Mrs. B's money. Yes! That is winning at life without even having to lift a finger for most of it. Okay, last story. How my cousin and I got a photographer locked up for revenge porn. So this started about 3 years ago. My cousin, who lives in Arizona, always had a desire to have professional nude photos taken. She thought it'd be nice to have something for her husband to look at from when she was in her prime as they aged together. Also, I think it kind of turned her on. However, my cousin had no desire to have these photos publicly published. After a few years of chewing on this idea, she decided she was going to do it. She went out looking for a photographer. She had a tight budget and ended up going with this one man who quoted her for $300 for a 1-hour photo shoot. He didn't mind taking nude pictures of her. However, she asked him if he had any agreement or something that would keep those photos confidential. He said he did not. She asked him if she wrote up an agreement basically stating the photos he takes of her cannot be saved on any of his devices and the SD card needs to be given to her, and that she would be the only person with a copy of the photos, and if he'd agreed to that. His only request was that she buy the SD card herself. So she agreed. He sent her what kind of SD card she should buy, and she bought it. She also wrote up an agreement in which the following was agreed upon and signed. Photo shoot was to last 1 hour. He would be paid $300. He would edit 6 pictures of her choosing, airbrushing, making her look better, etc. He would also print those 6 photos. She would supply the SD card. He would also delete any photos of her from any device he has. The photos he takes of her after he's done should not be saved to any device he owns, and the only copy should be on the SD card when he gives her the SD card. He's not allowed to share these photos with anyone for any reason, and those photos belong to her only. Agreement was signed. Photos should happen. Photos were edited. She got her SD card. All things were well and good. My cousin figured that was that. Obviously, we know this isn't the end, but just the start, otherwise I wouldn't be posting here. About 6 months after the photo shoot, the photographer contacts her and says he has copies of her photos and knows a website he could sell them to for $500, and if she doesn't want that, she needs to pay him $500. Oh, blackmail! Nice! My cousin calls me and asks me what I think she should do, as I'm pretty good at handling dynamic situations. I did some Googling and come to find out this could be considered revenge porn, and that's illegal in the state of Arizona. Wait, that is an actual term in the laws. Revenge porn is an actual term. What? And it's illegal as well in the state of Arizona. In fact, it's a felony, which means jail time. Also, obviously, this would be considered blackmail, which is also a felony. Yep. So I tell my cousin to do this. Don't pay him. If you pay him once, there is nothing stopping him from trying to get you to pay again. Remind him that you are in the state of Arizona and that it's a felony to distribute revenge porn. Remind him that he had a signed agreement in which he agreed the photos he took of her he would not save a copy and he would never publish anywhere. Remind him if he publishes your photos, you will post them on blast throughout the social media world. She says, thanks. I thought this was the end of that story. But about 6 months later, I'm on Reddit and my porn Reddit account. I have a Reddit account I only use to subscribe to porn subreddits to keep my main account clear of porn. And I'm whacking off, and I'm in one of the subs when I click on the picture. And bam, my dick goes limp. I'm staring at my cousin in a very seductive pose. I knew she was my cousin because she could see the tattoo of her son's name and birthday. It was a complicated feeling. At first I was annoyed that my whack off session was ruined by writing across a picture of my cousin, and then it dawned on me. The photographer didn't listen to her and must have published her photos anyway. So now things get more awkward, because I now have to call my cousin and tell her I found her nude photos as I was masturbating. Not a conversation anyone would like to have with a blood relative, but she had to know. So I called my cousin and informed her of what I saw. I sent her the links. I went to the local Facebook groups and left nasty reviews for him. My cousin didn't want her name out there saying nude photos have existed so people could go out and find them. I then googled how to DMCA and sent in DMCA notices to the sites I could have that were to the sites I could find that were hosting her photos. I also did a reverse image search and DMCA those as well. I taught my cousin how to do this herself. FYI, and DMCA works, and none of the sites even argued with us. At this point, someone PMs me an attorney's number. They tell me this attorney was an advisor to the revenge porn law bill that Arizona passed. That is an actual bill. And that we should call the attorney. So I did. I explained the story to the attorney, and I left out my whacking off bit, as I didn't feel that was relevant. Good job there. And the attorney explained to me that because I wasn't the victim, he couldn't really do anything until the victim contacted him herself. So I went to my cousin, told her about this attorney, and how she should go speak to the attorney. Now my cousin has a flaw in her personality. She's very quick to forgive. I tried my best to persuade her, but she said she felt the nasty reviews we had left and spreading the news was enough. Another 6 months passed, and one day my cousin calls me again and says, "You wouldn't believe which son of a bitch emailed me?" Being the quick thinker I am, I said, "The photographer, right?" She said, "Yep." And I said, "So how much money is he asking for now?" He's saying he's asking for $10,000 to delete her photos as compensation for the damages we caused to his business. Apparently people don't want to hire a photographer who publishes people's photographs that they pay them to take without their permission. I told her it was time to call the attorney. She agreed. Let's skip ahead a year. Apparently said photographer had plenty of money to fight a legal battle. Long end of the story. My cousin got convicted for blackmail and revenge porn successfully sued him and got a civil judgment for a hefty sum of money. He's currently serving 3 years in an Arizona state prison. Granted, right after she got her civil judgment, he had basically sold everything he had trying to stay out of jail, so it's unlikely she'll ever be able to collect, but basically his future earnings now belong to her, as I understand it. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe that is an actual bill that is passed in Arizona. Arizona, the state that stops revenge porn. Anyways, we're going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to the main channel and also the second channel that you're on right now, with links to both the playlist and the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.